All right, with that, first order of business is introductions. So, Jim, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Jim Cronenberg, and I live in Lake Oswego.
My name's Rob Kappa, and I'm a citizen of Milwaukee for 41 years.
Ken Humberston, Vice Chair, County Commission.
Laura Huckabee, and I hail from Redland for way too many years.
Jim Bernard, County Chair. Martha?
Martha Schrader, County Commissioner.
Dick Caldwell, Malino.
Sonia Fisher, County Commissioner.
Don Krupp, I'm the County Administrator, and I also serve as the Service District Administrator as well.
Diane Padilla, Budget Manager.
And Paul Savas, County Commissioner. So first up is the election of the chair. Is there a motion to elect the chair?
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate Laura Huckabee for Chair of the District, please.
And I will second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we elect Laura Huckabee, Huckabee,
Sorry.
as county chair.
Giving up your job already, huh, Jim?
As chair of the Extension and 4-H Services. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, here's
Okay, I'm asking for nominations for the Secretary of the Extension District, please.
I nominate Jim Cronenberg for Secretary of the District.
And do we have a second?
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
And let's have a vote, please. All the ayes in favor of?
aye.
Opposed? I think it passes. That Jim, you are Secretary. And now, Mike, as we're cutting down on the time and gonna speed along, Mike Bondi, OSU Regional Administrator for Clackamas County Extension. Would you share with us your incredible work?
All right, thank you. Folks, it's great to be here again. I was just thinking this is our 9th district budget since the formation of the Clackamas Extension and 4-H Service District back in November of 2008. You have in your packet today our budget message. I won't go through and read that in the interest of time, but you probably all have read it already. And then the associated documents, which we'll review quickly here in the PowerPoint presentation. The other thing I wanted to highlight, though, in terms of this past year, is it's been a great year, again, in the community. Oregon State University Extension Service serving the people of Clackamas County. We are celebrating our 100th year of service in Clackamas County, beginning in August of 2017, and now that centennial year. You should, in your notebooks as well, packets, have this document, which is our community report. Which we do, of course, every year for the county, but this is kind of, again, celebrating the 100th year and then reviewing the programs of the past year. So as I reflect back on the district and the formation of the district now almost 10 years ago, it's been a huge event in our history, in the 100-year history of extension in the community, and has provided us with a way to better serve the public and build programs for what will now be our next 100 years. And with that, I would just say that if we go to your slides, I guess I need to advance it. You have our mission, which again is bringing the university to the community here with our strength of the university through our research and our education programs. We see ourselves largely as community builders through all of our programs. We're working with the community to build economy, sustain natural resources, enhance natural resources, and promote healthy individuals and communities. That's what Extension does. That's what we've done for the last 100 years. The mantra is also 100 years old, goes back to the days of 4-H in this county. It's called Learn by Doing. And we apply that same concept in our education today building life skills with the community members, self-reliance, community leadership, whether it's adults or youth. And we do that through informal non-credit education. That's the staff. We won't review it all, but there's about 24 full-time equivalents that work here in Clackamas County and serve the needs of the people. Budget, that's our 3-year trend, and you can see that we have over $7 million in our 217 actual of our revenue, and you can see what our expenditures are in that year. So we have been accruing significant amount of resources over the last 9 budgets that we've been setting aside, about $500,000 a year, in order to build an extension service education center, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. But you can see our trend line on revenue has gradually increased as the assessed value in the county has grown. And most of our resources basically go to programs. We do set aside and have a significant resource now in our Extension Education Center fund, but our program budgets basically fund our people. About half of our budget is personnel, and another 20% or so is in our programs, and the remainder goes into our facilities and equipment and our contingency. And that's just a snapshot that shows the people. Not great changes over the past year in terms of staffing, but I should notice a note that we did have, and it will be in your extension education community report near the back page, and I should note inside front cover on page 23 if you have that in front of you. I know we have Roxy Appleby here. Roxy, can you stand up, please? Roxy retired this year after 45 years of service in Clackamas County for the Extension Service as our office manager. That is very noteworthy. I don't know too many more people in our organization that serve that many years, and Roxy's been the key person that's worked with me on these budgets over the years. The other major change was hiring Lynn Squire. Lynn is our new office manager that was hired at the end of last year, and so now we're transitioning the leadership within Extension and the office as in Clackamas County. That's our major staffing change. The other final items I'll just share is that this year's budget, as we're proposing it, is about $2.348 million. That's on the tax revenue side. In addition, there'll be additional dollars that come in from delinquent taxes, et cetera. You should note that the university, through their state support of Oregon State University and the faculty and the staff that serve this county, as well as the faculty and staff from the outlying counties that provide support for our programs here, is about a $4 million investment from the university. By the fact that we have faculty and staff located here in the county, they're responsible for bringing in about $1.5 million of grants and contracts, again, to support programs here in Clackamas County each year. And then our volunteers. We talked about volunteers in the previous presentation. We have about 1,600 volunteers that are supporting our programs here in Clackamas County, and those 1,600 volunteers volunteer the equivalent of about $1.5 million worth of service every year. We reach about 100,000 people in the community every year with educational programs in one way, shape, or form. 500 events were delivered this past year alone to 50,000 people directly. So it's a huge activity for us in the county, reaching that many people each year. We see a lot of issues and opportunities in the county, not the least of which, of course, are dependent on a growing population and growing needs within the community. And that's really the part of the rationale behind having an extension education facility that's really designed for the people. We've never had the luxury of being in a space that was designed for our needs or adequate to serve the public. and the new Extension Education Center will give us that opportunity. So we're in the middle of that process, and we are now also doing private fundraising. So that concludes my comments, and the last slide really is kind of the future for us, the next 100 years. That is the design that you recently approved. And we are now working with the City of Oregon City on the permitting for the new education center at the corner of Warren and Milne and Beaver Creek Road, with a potential groundbreaking in spring of 19 if all goes well, and moving in the winter of 2020. So that concludes my comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So, Mr. Humbertson.
Just one, can I get a copy of your PowerPoint?
Yes.
You have some statistics in there I'd like.
Okay, perfect.
you.
Happy to do that.
I just note that you'll be spending down your fund balance significantly when we build that building.
We will, and that's what the fund balance is for.
Yep.
So we're eagerly anticipating the private fundraising too, because that will go a long way to help augment the funding for the building and reduce our debt service in the future as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bernard.
So a significant amount of money comes from OSU. Are we comfortable that that money will continue in the future?
That's a good question. I don't control their budgets. But I think looking back, and I'm just concluding my 40th year with that organization, and certainly there's a huge commitment to the work that we do in this county, but also in all the counties, because obviously we have extension located in all counties in the state. So I think the answer to that is we certainly anticipate that flow of resources, and part of the challenge I think the university has is what comes from the legislature to make that happen, and that's an important role we all have, is to convince our legislators when they're making those kinds of decisions to take that into account.
Yeah, and we have a pretty extensive investment in OSU at the NRAC, as well as the staffing. I was amazed. I've been on that committee for a number of years now, that it's kind of you get hired for the job, but you have to raise your money to get paid, which is different. Can you imagine if county commissioners had to get elected and raise the money to pay yourself?
Great concept. I was going to say
It's a
that'd be a
concept.
motivator.
Yeah, it's a great idea to have people that your employees, and then they go out and find their own source of funding.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like being a commission salesperson, maybe, huh?
Kind of. Anyway.
Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Mike. We've been working together a long time. We worked on the district together way back when, and this actually idea started way back in 2000.
It-
I
In
think
fact,
even
it
before
started
2000.
around that table when we were even talking about a district and what kind of a assessed value would be appropriate, and how much money it would take to really grow and enable programming, but also to be able to, from the very get-go, put money aside rather than put it all in the program where you had no facility to put more people, and be cognizant of the future. And it's cool to see us get this far.
And one of the questions I had was, it's my understanding that you're working with Clackamas Women's Services, or will be. You're going to have an education center there for nutrition and gardening and those kinds of things. So how are those plans coming along?
Well,
Okay.
in the new building will be a teaching kitchen. Now, we haven't finished the design of that yet and what that will exactly look like in the facilities, but I think the opportunity for doing more community type education, skill building, and wrapping the nutrition education part of it into building skills for people, life skills, will be a huge opportunity that we don't have now. Obviously, with the Safe Center right next door, I know been conversations about how we could work together more closely with them. There's also been talk about partnering with Willamette Falls and Providence So you start seeing those opportunities, and I think the list will only grow.
And so I'm surprised, Ken, you haven't talked about this yet, but this is going to be, we believe, one of the first cross-laminated timber buildings on the campus. I'm
I was
looking.
going to mention that.
Oh, beat you to the punch, so I'll stop then,
no,
because I have
that's
one more
fine.
question. No, because you need to say more about, because you're the champion. But the final thing, I just want to thank you for being the Switzerland of forestry here, because we've been dealing with quite a bit at the state level and the county levels with differences of opinion between our environmental communities, our ONC counties. And when I read through your forestry and natural resources piece of your great 100 year, you really do it all. You're kind of the neutral area where people can come together and actually, with the small woodlot owners, but also understanding what it may mean to do with public lands, matrix lands. I'm not talking about our areas that have been designated as national monuments, that kind of thing, but you bring the neutrality to the table on how to manage forests, what the issues are, the emerging forest health issues, specifically wildfire issues. And back in 2015, we had the 36 pit fire near Estacada, for example, and you folks bring that education with Hopkins to the table, and you bring the environmental piece of the best practices as well as how to manage those forests. And for that, I think you deserve kudos. I'll be calling on you soon, because I'm being called on to be Switzerland right now with some of our forestry issues. And having you folks as a resource is going to be extremely helpful to that.
Well, you know, I think that's one of the beauties of extension, as I've seen it over my career and thought about it over the 100 years that we've been here in this county, is that's what the university brings. I think the whole idea is with all of our programs, not just forestry and natural resources, but our public health programs through family community health, 4-H, unbiased, science-based, factual information to the community to help people make better decisions and improve their lives. That's the mission. It's 100 years old. I think it's still relevant today. I believe it'll be relevant in the next 100 years.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Savas?
Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate all the good work your staff does. I just want to get on your message here. It was $6.4 million. Is that the total cost for the project?
No, that's what we will have in our budget at the end of FY19. So the budget that you're going to be voting on here today, we have set aside dedicated $6.4 million for the building. The actual building is going to be, we think, about 10. Now, we don't know that yet. We haven't finished the design, nor have we heard from the city what they think we need to do. That's still a bit of an unknown, but the architects believe it's somewhere around 10. So we anticipate having one more district budget before we move in. So that number that we'll have is about $7 million we project. And we're out to raise $3 million, and we're in that quiet phase of the campaign now with community contributions. And I might say, going back to Commissioner Schrader's comment, this building, I think, is going to be a real showcase. Not just for us and our programs, and obviously a key resource for the community, but I think it's going to be a showcase for the forestry, woodlands, natural resource community. We are talking about the first public building, CLT building in the county. We are talking about, it's designed right now, at least in theory, to be a net zero building. That would make it the first net zero public building in this county. Those two attributes alone say a lot about our programs and what we believe in, our core values. And we think that will be very attractive for some significant funders. And that's why we think we can raise $3 million.
So if I can follow up, if I may. So the square footage, 10 million, but the square footage is?
Square footage is going to be about 22,000. That's the indoor space. There'll be obviously outdoor show gardens and things as well.
Okay. One thing I do appreciate is that on your chart on the back here, your general fund support is zero and flat. Appreciate that.
Yep. You bet.
And I appreciate the good work the district is in funding this, pretty much on its own with maybe a little bit of fundraising on the outside to do as well. So great job.
It's going to be unique to build a public building with, you know, a third of it or almost a third of it coming from private individuals, but I believe we can establish a new model.
I'm going to make a quick comment, and that's, I know that there's a tremendous amount of effort with the new building project. While the focus has been on that in this, a lot in this conversation, there's still, with the size of Clackamas County, the rest of the programs, the family food educators, master gardeners, the rest of the outreach, the volunteer outreach, is specifically working at addressing and meeting the needs in those areas of the county that are more remote or that who have felt like they were stepchildren, like Welch's and Sandy and Malala, Malino. So, do we have any more questions from commissioners? Comments? Rob?
I'll make mine quick. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd like to point out to the councils that one of the things that we are looking at, and is actually going to be in the game plan, is how do we provide these services with this new building for this huge population that is coming to Clackamas. It's not only Clackamas, but it's Multnomah, Washington that will affect what we do here in Clackamas County. So we are, through Mike Bondi's leadership, staff, and a lot of the good volunteers that he has, that he talks to, they're starting to address that issue. And we're actually getting the director of the program, Gail Langalata at OSU, involved in that conversation. So that's going to be one of our key, in the future, one of our key objectives is how do we provide the service with people who are living on less land, but trying to keep open spaces and protect our environment and protect the forests that we love. And thank you.
Okay, let's move forward and open. Do we have any public comment? Okay. We're going to close public hearing because there is none. So committee members, any more questions? We're good to go? Move on? I can't be too formal. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to call for a motion to approve the budget. Do we have that?
Madam Chair, I move that the committee approve the 2018-2019 budget for the Clackamas County Extension and 4-H Service District as presented, and impose the maximum permanent tax rate within district boundaries for the amount of $0.05 or 5 cents per $1,000 of assessed value.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Any discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the extension and 4-H service district budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion's approved. Any other comments? Any other business? How are we doing on time? Did we get you fairly caught up?
Nope.
So sorry.
Actually, no. We were too far behind.
We tried.
We're gonna have to shorten a break or so. All right, thank you very much.